Good afternoon, everyone. We are the Group 10, and we are here to discuss about corticosteroids in respiratory care. Next po. So here are our content outline for today's discussion. So first is the clinical indications for use of inhaled corticosteroids, the identification of aerosolized corticosteroids, the physiology of corticosteroids, the nature of inflammatory response, aerosolized and the pharmacology of corticosteroids, and the hazards and side effects of steroids, the clinical application of aerosol steroids, and the respiratory care assessment of inhaled corticosteroid therapy. Next po. So, when we say inhaled corticosteroids from the word itself inhaled, these are the medications that are inhaled into our lungs or sprayed into our nose. So, this is highly recommended po for maintenance therapy in asthma patients na kung saan mayroon po silang symptoms na above or more than 2 days or weeks and night awakenings for 3 to 4 times a month. And for severe asthma, inhaled corticosteroids is mixed with oral steroid para ma-reduce yung dose ng oral steroid and of course to minimize the side effects. And of course, for allergic conditions, we use the intranasal aerosol. Next po. So the physiology of corticosteroids involves a sequence of stimulation of the adrenal cortex through the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, in which increased blood vessels of corticosteroids inhibit the HPA and adrenal cortex from further secretion. So mapapag-aralan naman po natin yung HPA axis mamaya. So next po. So, corticosteroids, these are chemicals secreted by the adrenal cortex and are referred to as adrenal cortical hormones. So, yung adrenal medulla, this is the inner zone, and this produces epinephrine. And the cortex naman, this is the outer part, and ito yung source of corticosteroids. So, there are three types of corticosteroids. Number one is glucocorticoids. So, yung glucocorticoids, these are steroids that are released in the adrenal medulla. And this has something to do with stress since nga yung main example na is cortisol, which is the hormone for stress. And of course, this hormone is also helps reduce inflammation, kaya nga po siya ginagamit for asthma and of course for allergy. And next po is yung mineralocorticoids, from the word itself mineral. This has something to do with water. So these hormones help absorb water and sodium balance. And ang example niya po is yung aldosterone. Next naman po of course yung sex hormones. These hormones are responsible for developing male and female traits, and ang example niya po is yung androgens and estrogens. So kagaya nga po ng sinabi ko kanina, yung mineralocorticoid aldosterone regulates body water by increasing the amount of sodium reabsorption in the renal tubules. Next po. So now we go to hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. So, paano nga po ba nagwo-work tong HPA axis? So, pag nasa stress po tayo, when we are stressed, it stimulates our hypothalamus. And kapag na-stimulate po yung hypothalamus, nag-release po yon ng CRF or yung corticotrophin releasing factor. Then, after po nun, yung CRF is circulates the anterior pituitary gland kung saan nag-release po yun ng ACTH sa bloodstream natin or yung adrenocorticotropic hormone. Then after nun, yung ACTH stimulates the adrenal cortex to secrete yung glucocorticoids such as yung cortisol. So cortisol is very important since it regulates the metabolism of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, generally to increase levels of glucose for body energy. Next po. So ito po yung figure, nasa book naman po ito. Next po. Next po ulit. Next. So ito pong aerosol corticosteroid preparations available for intranasal delivery is si si Valerie naman po yung magdi-discuss nito. Next po. So we now proceed to HPA with steroid use. So yung body po kasi natin is hindi niya kayang ma-distinguish yung difference between yung steroid or yung our own body's cortisol. Kaya po kapag yung steroid level natin is nag-increase, yung brain po natin is nahihirapan po siya or nagsa-stop po siya na mag-send ng signal sa adrenal cortex na kung saan yung adrenal cortex is responsible for releasing yung hormone na cortisol. So in short po, yung exogenous corticosteroids, this makes our brain lazy. Kaya po yung adrenal cortex is hindi po siya nakaka-produce ng cortisol. Next po. So, HPA suppression or adrenal suppression. So, this is seen with systematic administration of corticosteroids that begins after 1 day of treatment and is significant after 1 week of oral therapy at usual doses. So, yung primary reason for using aerosolized or yung inhaled glucocorticoids is to minimize the dosage and localizing the site of treatment. So, weaning from the exogenous corticosteroids through the use of tapered dose therapy allows time for recovery of the body's own adrenal secretion. So, the aerosol should be started while the oral agent is tapered off slowly at the same time. Next po. So we now proceed to the diurnal steroid cycle. So the body's glucocorticoid production, especially cortisol, follows a daily rhythmic cycle called the diurnal or circadian rhythm. So so in people who are active during the day and sleep at night, their cortisol levels are highest around 8 a.m. So yung high cortisol promotes alertness and energy. So throughout the day, ACTH and cortisol levels gradually decrease. So when cortisol levels drop, the anterior pituitary release ACTH again. Then yung ACTH stimulates the adrenal cortex to produce more cortisol. But there is a short lag time between increased ACTH and increased cortisol. Next po. So, ito po yung clinical significance niya. So, kapag yung diurnal steroid cycle is na-disrupt, this can cause jet lag or night shift at work. Then, when disrupted, cortisol levels may not match the new sleep schedule. Kaya po yung a person trying to sleep in the morning may feel awake and energized. So, this explains why adjusting to new time zones or night shifts can be difficult. Next po. So, inflammation. So, inflammation is the body's response to injury in vascularized tissue. So, Celsus described it as redness and swelling with heat and pain. So later on, si Lewis po is kinaracterize niya to into triple response, which is the redness or yung local dilation of blood vessels occurring in seconds. Then yung flare, ito po yung reddish color from the site several centimeters from the site occurring to 15 to 30 seconds after injury, and yung wheal, which is a local swelling occurring in minutes. Next po. Next. So these are the four major categories of activity. And first is yung increased vascular permeability. So fluids exudates and form in the surrounding tissues. Next naman po is yung leukocytic infiltration. So the white blood cells immigrate through capillary walls in response to attractant chemicals. Then next is yung phagocytosis, and the white blood cells and macrophage goes into the lungs, ingest and process foreign materials such as bacteria. Next naman po is yung mediator cascade, which is yung histamine. Chemicals like histamine and chemoattractant factors are released at the site of injury, and various inflammatory mediators such as complement and arachidonic acid products are generated. Next po. So, glucocorticoids. So, glucocorticoids is similar to the natural hormone hydrocortisone. cortisone. So, sinabi ko naman po 'to kanina is yung main effect niya is reducing inflammation, kaya nga po siya, ginagamit in treating conditions like asthma and allergy. So, inflammation is the body's response to injury in tissues with blood supply and is characterized by redness, swelling, heat, and pain kagaya po nung sinabi ni Celsus. So, yun po, may I call on the next reporter po for the continuation. Thank you po.
So, good day everyone. I'll be discussing on aerosolized corticosteroids. So, we all know that corticosteroids are medication mainly used to reduce inflammation in our respiratory system, katulad nung sa mga disease na asthma and COPD. So, kung kapag inflamed ang airway natin, nagiging makitid siya. Tapos dumadown yung mucus production at nagiging sensitive siya sa mga air bands. So dahil dito, no, nagko-cause siya ng difficulty sa breathing, wheezing, coughing, and tsaka sa chest tightness. So corticosteroids help control these symptoms by reducing airway inflammation and preventing worsening of respiratory conditions. So aerosol, yung term aerosol is alam naman natin na it's a medication delivered in the form of mist or powder na ini-inhale ng patient natin diretso sa ating lungs. So instead na mag-take tayo ng steroids orally or intravenously, inhalation allows the drug to act directly sa lungs natin. So very beneficial to kasi diretso na sa lung natin yung delivery. So, nagpo-provide siya ng malakas or strong na effects, habang nare-reduce niya yung systemic side effects ng atin tulad ng weight gain, immune suppression, and ng hormonal imbalance. So, in simple terms, mas concentrated ang effect sa lungs at mas konti yung effect na sa buong katawan natin. Next po. So, ito yung different corticosteroid agents. Makikita po natin to sa book ng Raus. Next. So, i-discuss pa na ngayon yung different aerosolized corticosteroid agents na ginagamit sa respiratory care. So, lahat ng inhaled corticosteroids ay may same na function, which is to reduce inflammation. Nagkakaiba yung mga agents na to sa potency nila, duration ng pag-deliver, and yung mga side effects nila. So, first agent, meron tayong beclometasone or commonly known na QR. So, this is one of the earliest inhaled corticosteroid used for asthma management. So, ang main advantage niya is maganda sa magandang lung deposition, meaning malaki yung percentage ng gamot yung nakakarating sa lungs natin instead na magstay siya sa mouth or throat natin. So, kapag may portion naman na nalunok ng patient, mabilis siyang mababreakdown ng liver through first pass metabolism. So, dahil dito, yung konti lang yung drug na pumapasok sa systemic circulation natin, kaya mas mababa yung risk ng systemic side effects. So, overall, beclometasone effectively controls airway inflammation while maintaining safety for long-term use. Next po. So, next is flunisolide. Flunisolide or Aerospan. So, flunisolide is topically active inhaled corticosteroid din. Similar ng strength niya sa ordinary steroid preparation. So, it is absorbed quickly from the lungs, which means mabilis magsimula yung effect niya after inhalation. The goal nito is to put the airway calm and prevent plasma symptoms before pa sila mag-start. So, next po is luticasone topianate. Isa siya sa most commonly prescribed inhaled corticosteroids. So, kilala kasi siya na may sobrang lakas na anti-inflammatory potency. So, ibig sabihin, maliit na dose pa lang, effective na siya sa pagbawas ng airways inflammation. Another important advantage nito is very low yung system ng absorption niya. Kahit may portion na malanok after inhalation, almost all of it is inactivated na by the liver bago pa pumasok ng circulation. So dahil doon, mataas ang lung effect niya pero minimal ang hormonal or adrenal side effects niya, making it ideal for long-term asthma control. Next. Is budesonide, also known as Pulmicort. So, budesonide is considered unique kasi available daw siya both as dry powder inhaler and as a nebulized solution called Respules. So, this makes it very useful especially for pediatric patients or patients na hindi gumamit ng inhalers. So, isa pa sa advantages nito is pwede siyang i-mix sa mga bronchodilators katulad ng albuterol during nebulization without affecting drug effectiveness. So, most of the drugs are swallowed. Most of the swallowed drugs undergoes extensively the liver metabolism, which reduces systemic exposure kaya affected siya sa lung while remaining relatively safe. Next. So, next is ang Metason furoate or commonly available as Asmanex. So, itong corticosteroid na to is malakas yung local anti-inflammatory activity niya and pwede siyang ibigay once or twice daily. Ang once daily adosan niya is malaking advantage kasi yung improve niya yung patient compliance dun sa treatment. Tas mas madali siyang tandaan and mas consistent ang paggamit. So, approved din siya na gamitin ng mga bata kasi nagpapakita siya ng magandang safety and effectiveness sa long-term asthma control. Next po. Next, we have cyclosonide or also known as Alvesco. So, etong cyclosonide, naiiba siya sa ibang corticosteroid dahil considered siyang prodrug. So, ang prodrug kasi, inactive muna siya habang ine-inhale, then nagiging active siya after reaching the lung. So, because activation happens directly inside lung tissues, onti lang medication na mag-stay na active sa mouth, nostril, and throat. So, nababawasan ang side effects tulad ng oral candidiasis or yung fungal infection. And dagdag na rin, yung active form niya is very strong binding affinity sa glucocorticoid receptors, allowing effective inflammation control with fewer local side effects. Next. Okay. Etong mga susunod na agents na is kino-considered natin silang combination agents. So etong mga inhalers kasi na to, nagko-contain sila ng parehong inhaled corticosteroid and ng long-acting beta-2 agonist or yung tinatawag nating LABA. So, the corticosteroid reduces inflammation, samantalang yung LABA naman, i-relax niya yung airway smooth muscles natin. So, dahil nag-work sila together, mas effective siya. Mas effective siya. And is yung fluticasone with salmeterol or yung Advir. Kino-combine niya yung fluticasone and salmeterol. So, fluticasone alone controls airway inflammation, samantalang yung salmeterol naman is naproprovide siya ng long-lasting bronchodilation. So, yung combination na to, ini-improve niya yung lung function, binabawasan niya yung symptoms ng asthma, and nilolower niya yung rescue inhaler use. So, commonly used siya sa mga patients na may moderate to severe asthma control. Next po. So, next is meron tayo yung Dulera, yung pinagsamang mometasone and formoterol. So, formoterol kasi acts faster compared to some labas while providing prolonged airway relaxation. So, together with mometasones and anti-inflammatory shuttle, yung combination nila is nag-i-improve ng lung function and nire-reduce niya yung disease worsening. So, next po. Ito na yung last natin na combination drug, yung Symbicort natin, which is budesonide and formoterol. So, isang advantage nitong combination na to is mabilis yung onset ng bronchodilation niya. Tapos, nagpa-provide pa siya ng long-term airway control. So, maraming studies kasi nagsashow na yung combination na to nag-i-improve ng breathing within minutes lang. Tapos, while continuously controlling inflammation. To summarize the aerosolide corticosteroid agents, no? Yung mga inhaled corticosteroids, nire-reduce nila yung airway inflammation. Samantalang yung combination agents naman, nagpro-provide sila ng inflammation control and sustained bronchodilation. So, pag yung combined is nagre-result siya sa better respiratory management ng mga patients na may asthma and COPD. Next. So, intranasal corticosteroids. All inhaled corticosteroids are also available in intranasal forms. They are used to treat allergic or inflammatory nasal conditions including seasonal and perennial allergic or non-allergic rhinitis. It can help prevent recurrence of nasal polyps, and it is available in various strengths and doses depending on the specific agent. Other treatment for seasonal allergic rhinitis includes H1 receptor, and ang glucocorticoids pa kasi are lipid-soluble drugs. So, ibig sabihin, kaya po nilang pumasok sa loob ng cells. Unlike other drugs na kung nag-a-act outside the cell, yung mga corticosteroids po is not work inside the cell na through intracellular receptors. So, ang main benefit nila in asthma and inflammatory diseases, it's yung block and reduce inflammation. So, ginagawa nila ito by inhibiting inflammatory cells and also preventing the growth of inflammatory mode of action ng glucocorticoid. So, ang main mechanism lang talaga ng glucocorticoids is upregulation ng anti-inflammatory products natin, later down regulation ng pro-inflammatory na natin. So, ibig sabihin, pinapatalas nila yung production ng substances na anti-inflammatory habang pinapababa naman yung substances na nag-cause ng inflammation. So, meron tayong na to. So, step 1 is yung pagpasok nila sa. So, dahil nga yung glucocorticoids are yung lipophilic, nakakapasok sila ng mabilis or sa airways natin. Step 1 is yung pagpasok nila sa. So, dahil nga yung glucocorticoids are yung lipophilic, nakakapasok sila ng mabilis or sa airways natin. So, sa loob ng cell natin, nagbabind sila sa mag-glucocorticoid with our insulin steroid, humihiwalay din HSK9 natin. Tapos, yung steroid receptor complex, nag-move na siya sa nucleus. Okay. And step 2 is yung gene activation natin, yung anti-inflammatory. So, inside the nucleus, yung complex na nagbind sa DNA regions called glucocorticoid response elements, nag-stimulate siya ng production ng anti-inflammatory organs natin katulad ng lipoprotein, secretory leukocyte protease inhibitor, and ng neutral endopeptides. So lipoprotein is very important kasi siya yung nag-i-inhibit ng phospholipase A2 habang pina-prevent niya yung arachidonic acid cascade. So kapag napigilan yung cascade nito, nababawasan yung production ng prostaglandins and ng inflammatory mediators. So step 3. Step 3 po is yung suppression ng inflammatory T. So ano ba yung action ni suppression? Ito nga, inflammatory transcription factors katulad ng activator protein 1, which is a transcription factor. So itong activator protein 1 na to is para siyang light switch ng nucleus ng cell na sinasabi kung aling proteins yung gagawin. Sa kaso ng activator protein 1, siya yung magbudulot, yung protein na nagdudulot ng inflammation. Another is meron tayong nuclear factor kappa B, which is a transcription factor din na para siyang yung leader or boss ng nucleus ng cell. Kapag active siya, nag-uutos siyang gumawa ng mga proteins na nagpo-cause ng pamamaga or ng inflammation. So, etong mga factors na to, ina-activate nila yung genes na responsible for inflammation. Kapag na inactive sila ng corticosteroids, bumababa na yung cytokine production natin and nababawasan ang inflammatory signaling. So, last step 4 is additional suppression ng inhibitor of kappa B alpha, which is an inhibitor protein. Para siyang bodyguard ng nuclear factor kappa B na pinipigilan niya yung tumasak sa nucleus, yung mga hindi kailangang mag-initiate ng inflammation. So, nagpo-provide siya ng additional mechanism to further suppress inflammation. So, parang double inhibition siya. Kinipigilan na niya yung inflammation tapos may extra blocker pa. So, overall result, nag-i-increase ang anti-inflammatory protein production and nagdi-decrease ang pro-inflammatory protein production. Which leads then now to reduced recruitment of inflammatory cells like eosinophils and lymphocytes sa ating airway. Next po. So, effects on white blood cell. So, yung mga glucocorticoids pa kasi natin, nag-i-inhibit sila ng maraming inflammatory cells katulad ng macrophages, T lymphocytes, eosinophils. So, they also reverse epithelial damage and goblet cell. Ito po yung different effects na sa ating white blood cell. So, glucocorticoids cause the margination of neutrophils, releasing them from lung storage sites into circulation, which increases total white blood cell count while reducing their accumulation at sites of inflammation and intixadates. Another is that they suppress other leukocytes, katulad ng binanggit ko kanina, monocytes, basophils, and eosinophils, lowering elevated eosinophil counts and allergic asthma and reducing overall recruitment ng cells na mag-inflame ng tissue. And lastly, glucocorticoids constrict the microvasculature, decrease ang irritation of white blood cells and fluid into inflammatory sites, thereby limiting edema and controlling local inflammation. Which are the effects on beta receptors? So, glucocorticoids restore responsiveness to beta-adrenergic stimulation, which may reduce in individuals experiencing an acute asthma and allowing them to respond more effectively to beta agonists. So, this restoration of beta responsiveness can occur within 1 to 4 hours after intravenous administration, which is why a steroid bolus is often given in status asthmaticus as part of acute treatment. Lastly, glucocorticoids enhance beta receptor activity by increasing both the number and availability of beta receptors on cell surfaces, improving the receptor's affinity for beta agonists, and may prolong the action of endogenous catecholamines by inhibiting the uptake of two mechanisms, resulting in a positive interaction with beta 2 agonists. Next. Okay, so that's all for my part po. May I call on Miss Lane Agyam to continue the discussion?
So, good afternoon, everyone. Now we proceed to hazard and side effects of steroids. So, pag sinabi pa lang steroids, it is the general term for a large group of substances that share a similar chemical structure. However, pag sinabi namang corticosteroid, ito yung specific type ng steroid that are used to reduce inflammation and suppress immune responses, especially in conditions like asthma and COPD. So let's proceed. So first is suppression of HPA axis by exogenous steroids may occur causing inhibition of acetylcholine release and cortisol secretion from the adrenal gland. So, di ba pag sinabing systematically, pwede mag-expect tayo ng side effects kasi nga yung drug, tawag dito, nag-enter siya ng bloodstream. So, pag yung steroids are given systematically, exogenous corticosteroids enter now the bloodstream. So, ang iniisip kasi ng katawan natin that there is already enough cortisol. So, ang ginagawa niya, it slows down its own production. So, this happened through the suppression of HPA. Dahil dito, bumababa yung acetylcholine release, kaya bumababa rin yung cortisol secretion ng adrenal gland. So, habang tumatagal, the adrenal cortex becomes less active. Kaya pag biglang tinigil yung steroids, pwedeng yung katawan natin hindi agad makagawa ng cortisol, which can cause adrenal insufficiency. Second is immunosuppression can be caused by systemic use of steroids. This can lead to increased susceptibility to infection by bacterial, viral, or fungal agents. So, pag nagbigay, for example, nagbigay tayo ng matataas na doses ng steroids, ang tendency nagiging mahina yung immune response ng katawan natin. Though may, di ba, ang effect niya is to reduce the inflammation. So, nakakatulong siya na mabawasan yung inflammation, but at the same time, it also reduces the body's ability to fight infection. So, ang ginagawa nila, nire-reduce nila yung activity ng white blood cell or dinidecrease nila yung movement yung white blood cell to the site of infection. So, di ba ang white blood cell is may role sila sa immunity natin, sa immune system natin. So, ang effect nun, the body's defense reaction becomes weaker. Kaya sa mga patient na may respiratory diseases, di ba, weak na yung mga lungs nila, so expected na mas madali silang magkaroon ng mga bacterial, viral, and mga other infections. Next is psychiatric reaction can occur, including insomnia, mood changes, bipolar or schizophrenic psychosis. So, systemic steroids or corticosteroids, di ba nasabi kanina ni Val is lipid soluble sila. So, kaya nilang mag-cross sa blood-brain barrier. So, ang ginagawa nila, ina-affect nila yung neurotransmitters activity. Kasi since kaya nilang mag-cross dun sa blood-brain barrier natin, sa brain, ibig sabihin nakakabind sila sa mga receptors. So because of this, pwedeng magkaroon ng mga mental dysfunction yung mga patients. Yun nga, for example, yung mga insomnia, mood changes, and irritability. Next is cataract formation has been noted and rarely intraocular pressure may increase with systemic steroid therapy. So, nandito naman, pag prolong yung systemic steroid therapy, naapektuhan nila yung mata natin. So, isa sa mga known effect is cataract formation. Ang nangyayari dito, parang nagiging cloudy yung lens ng mata kasi naapektuhan yung mga proteins inside the lens. So, normally kasi yung lens natin, di ba, clear yan? So, ang nangyari kasi dyan, yung proteins na nasa lens, naka-arrange sila evenly. Pero, during intake of steroids or specifically high intake or high doses, ang nangyari, nagka-clump or nag-stick together yung mga proteins, which ang nangyari na binablock nila yung light from passing through clearly dun sa lens. Kaya ang result nun, nagkakaroon ng blurry or cloudy yung vision ng patient. That is myopathy of striated skeletal muscle can occur. So dito, systemic steroid can promote protein breakdown. Kaya nagkakaroon ng mga panghihina ng mga muscles, especially sa mga malalaking muscles sa arms tsaka sa legs natin. Next, pwede rin magkaroon ng osteoporosis and peptic ulcer. Sa peptic ulcer, parang pinapahina niya yung barriers ng tiyan natin. So, it may impair a mucosal defense mechanism in the gastrointestinal tract. So, next slide po. So, let's proceed now to side effects, systemic side effects with aerosol administration. So, inhaled steroids were developed to reduce the systemic side effects with oral or intravenous steroids. Kasi nga, di ba, since inhaled sila, inhalation yung route nila, meaning they act mainly sa site of inflammation or sa target organ nila. So, mas onti lang yung gamot na nakakapunta sa bloodstream compared with the systemic administration. However, some systemic side effects can still occur, especially kapag nagbibigay ng matataas na doses or during transition from systemic therapy. So, sabi dito, inhaled steroids reduce systemic effect, possible systemic side effects. So, why systemic effects can still occur? High topical activity, local side effects, and some systemic absorption. Next. So, these are the side effects. First is adrenal insufficiency may occur after transfer from systemic to inhaled aerosol steroids. So, parang kanila lang kasi 'di ba, the body's own steroid production may slow down because it was used to getting oral steroids, meaning nasanay na yung katawan natin na nakakatanggap ng steroids. Kaya pag na-stop agad yung tawag dito, pag na-stop yung steroid, the body may not make enough cortisol right away. Next is recurrent of allergic inflammation in other organs. So, inhaled steroids mainly work sa lungs, diba? Tawag dito, may target organ siya. Kaya, dun sa ibang organ, pwedeng bumalik yung, or sa ibang parts ng body, pwedeng bumalik yung mga iba't ibang symptoms. Kunwari, sa mga skin or nose, ganun. Next is acute severe episodes of asthma may occur after withdrawal from oral steroid and transfer to inhaled form. So stopping oral steroids too fast can trigger attacks kasi nga yung inhaled steroids mas mahina sila. Mas milder yung effect nila. Next is suppression of HPA function is non-existence or low at small doses of inhaled aerosol steroids and cases with higher doses. So, low doses, mas rarely yung affect nila sa adrenal glands. Pag high doses naman, syempre mas increase yung risk. Kaya sa mga gantong situation, minsan hindi enough yung mga inhaled steroids lang. Kaya kailangan ng short course ng mga oral steroids or also called the burst therapy. Next slide po. So to prevent the side effects, ito po yung recommended doses for adults, less than 800 microgram per day, for children, less than 400 microgram per day. And note that using a spacer or reservoir can reduce the risk. So, yung spacer po kasi, diba, ang ginagawa niya, hini-help niya yung drug or yung particle na mas ma-reach yung lungs. Mas ma-reach yung lungs, nire-reduce niya naman yung mga particles na pwedeng ma-lodge sa mouth natin or sa throat natin. Na pwedeng ma-swallow, tapos pwede rin magkaroon ng systemic side effects. Next po. So, systemic absorption occurs from two sources. Swallowed portion passes through the digestive system and is mostly inactivated by liver metabolism. Bioavailability is less than 1 to 20%. Next is long deposited portion, fully absorbed into the bloodstream, contributing to the systemic effects. Next po. So these are the type of inhaler that are used to administer inhaled steroids. So first is MDIs, also known as the meter dose inhalers, which reached 18% of the lungs. Next is DPIs or dry powder inhaler, 32% reaches the lungs. Next is HFA or hydrofluoroalkane MDIs, which reaches 50% of the lungs. So due to smaller particle size and better lung penetration. Next po. So, dito naman tayo sa oral fungal infection. So, dito, sabi, affects mouth, pharynx, larynx, more likely with higher doses or concurrent oral steroid use. Next is dysphonia, caused by local steroid-induced weakness of vocal cords, can improve with the use of spacer and gargling. So, diba, when it comes to inhalation kasi, once na pinaf mo yung inhaler, hindi naman lahat napupunta sa lungs or hindi 100% napupunta sa target organ. So, may mga particles na napupunta sa mouth natin, sa throat natin, kaya nagkakaroon ng side effects and nagkakaroon ng mga gantong cases. And also, sabi dito, can improve with the use of spacer and gargling. So, gargling can help kasi nga, tinatanggal niya agad yung mga particle na na-distribute dun sa mouth and throat natin. Next po. So, other complications or precautions. First is cough and bronchoconstriction. Next is incorrect use. So, how to reduce the risk of local systemic adverse effects? Use the lowest effective dose, yun nga sabi kanina. Use a spacer device and rinse mouth after inhaling. Next po. So, dito na po tayo sa use of inhaled corticosteroids sa mga diseases. First is asthma. So, it is a first-line therapy for mild to severe persistent asthma. Inhaled corticosteroids are long-term control agents, not quick relief. Shifted from second to third line or third line to primary therapy because asthma is now recognized as a chronic inflammatory disease. So, in asthma, inhaled corticosteroids are the first-line treatment for mild to severe cases. So, they are used for long-term control. Sabi dito, not for quick relief. So, hindi siya makatulad ng mga ibang bronchodilator like salbutamol, which has a rapid onset of action. So, hindi siya ginagamit during emergency. Hindi siya katulad ng mga pag inatake ka, pwede mo na siyang gamitin. So, hindi siya ganun kasi nga for long-term therapy siya. Sabi dito, benefits reduces airway inflammation, improves lung function, decreases asthma exacerbation. Next po. Inhaled corticosteroids for acute severe asthma. Inhaled corticosteroids are not considered useful for acute severe asthma. Reasons: no bronchodilator effect, don't relieve sudden airway narrowing. Dose from inhaler is low compared to oral steroids and slow onset of action. So, ang inhaled corticosteroid kasi, hindi niya nire-relax yung airway, smooth muscles immediately. So, during acute asthma attack, the main problem is bronchoconstriction, meaning nagnanarrow yung airway natin. Pero, sa inhaled corticosteroids kasi, hindi yun yung main job niya, which is hindi niya nire-relax agad-agad yung airway smooth muscle. Unlike sa mga beta agonists or adrenergics such as albuterol or salbutamol, which acts rapidly to dilate the airway. So, yung ICS do not have direct bronchodilator effect. So, ang ginagawa niya, nire-reduce niya yung inflammation, pero yung onset of action matagal. Matagal yung onset of action, yung duration at the same time matagal rin. That's why it's not recommended to treat an acute asthma. Next po. Next is use in chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Corticosteroid in COPD help relieve symptoms and reduce exacerbations, but have little to no effect on FEV1 or forced expiratory volume in 1 second. Next is COPD inflammation differs from asthma. Asthma, eosinophil predominant. COPD, neutrophil predominant. Corticosteroids are less effective against neutrophil-driven inflammation. So, sa COPD, steroids can help relieve symptoms like coughing or shortness of breath and reduce flare-ups or yung mga exacerbations. Pero hindi sila nakaka-affect, wala silang effect or little yung effect nila sa lung function kasi nga COPD has a different type of inflammation compared dun sa asthma. Yung asthma inflammation is mostly caused by eosinophils, which responds well to steroids. Pero sa COPD kasi yung inflammation nila is mostly caused by neutrophils, which are less affected by steroids. So, in short, yung steroids, nakakatulong siya with symptoms of flare-ups or exacerbations in COPD, pero hindi nila ini-improve yung main lung function as much as they do in asthma. So, dito sa COPD, hindi ganun ka effective yung effect niya katulad sa asthma. The next po, it's then again sa acute exacerbations, oral or parenteral steroids are commonly used. Short-term therapy benefits hospitalized patients. Nebulized budesonide 2 mg showed similar improvement in FEV1 compared to oral prednisolone, which is 30 mg. In patients with stable COPD, systemic corticosteroids are not recommended. Inhaled corticosteroids are safer than oral steroids. So, for patients whose COPD is stable, yung long-term oral steroids are not recommended because yun nga, nagkakaroon ng side effects. Kaya yung inhaled steroids mas safer sa kanila and can nakakatulong na i-control yung symptoms without the risk of systemic steroids. Next po. So, respiratory care assessments of inhaled corticosteroid. So, as a respiratory therapy or as a future health worker, so of course responsibility natin yung patient natin. So, sa pag-a-administer ng gamot, of course, hindi porket na nabigay na natin yung gamot, dun na natatapos. It is very important to assess the patient before and after the treatment. Kasi nga, dito natin nakikita if effective ba yung drug or nag-work ba siya properly sa patients kung may side effects ba. So, before the treatment, we check breathing, pulse, and lung sounds to know the patient's baseline and to see if the drug improves their condition. So we teach proper inhaler technique because wrong use means less medicine reaches the lungs, so treatment will not be effective. So isa to sa pinakamahalaga na ituro natin sa patient natin kung paano ba gamitin ng tama yung device. Kasi hindi naman porket nasa kanila yung gamot or for example, ginagamit na nila yung gamot pero hindi naman nila ginagamit ng tama yung device. Ibig sabihin, hindi rin ganun ka-effective yung effect ng gamot sa katawan nila. So also, we explain that corticosteroids are controller medicine, not rescue drugs. So patient understand they must use them regularly and even if they feel okay. So dito, mahalaga na maintindihan ng patient yung pharmacologic effects ng corticosteroids. Kasi nga, 'di ba, hindi siya katulad ng mga ibang inhalers or yung mga iba't ibang bronchodilators na ginagamit lang sila during emergency. So dito sa corticosteroids, ginagamit siya even if the patient feels okay, even if the patient wala siyang asthma attack. Kasi nga, for long term siya. I mean, short yung onset niya and long yung duration niya. So, prevent niya yung future attacks ng disease. Next is peak flow monitoring and action plans help detect worsening asthma early and prevent severe attacks. Next is long-term monitoring helps adjust treatment and check for side effects like oral thrush or hoarseness. Next is we also advise rinsing the mouth to reduce local side effects and always use lowest effective dose to keep the treatment safe. So dito sa corticosteroid, kanina pa sinasabi na use the lowest effective dose kasi nga nakakatulong siya na ma-prevent yung mga side effects or yung mga mga systemic effects. Next, overall, we do these steps to maximize benefits, prevent further complications, and ensure a safe long-term management of asthma or COPD. So, summarize ko lang. So, corticosteroids nakakatulong. It has a role in respiratory disease such as asthma and COPD. So, ang ginagawa nila mainly is to reduce the inflammation and prevent exacerbation. Well, itong corticosteroid na to, effective sila. It is also important na magkaroon ng proper dosing, correct inhaler technique, and controller medication. Mahalaga din na may patient education and monitoring para ma-ensure natin yung safety and effectiveness. It is also important na maintindihan natin yung pharmacology, yung benefits, and the potential side effects ng drug na to. And that ends po for the presentation of hazards and side effects of corticosteroids. Thank you.